How will Uzi change that dynamic?
Yeah, and how's he going to feel? Of course, Uzi, a pretty emotional player as well. How's he going to feel sort of giving up that solo carry
He's not the big
role?
dog, is he? He's
yeah,
not
exactly.
well, he's going to be a big dog because that's the kind of player he is. But with Cool and Go going there as well,
yeah,
they
can share that carry potential. So we'll see whether they do that. As we jump into Champion Select, of course, and Energy Pacemaker banning out Karma first off. And I'm not entirely sure who they're aiming that at. Of course, we've seen Karma going into a lot of different places on this map. I think the only role that we haven't seen a Karma in competitive play across every region would be that AD carry role.
Absolutely. Even the Jungle Karma, of course, from the
Diamond
great
Plus.
Diamond days. So it's an interesting ban. Obviously a targeted ban. We haven't seen too much Karma outside this.
Yeah, although actually I've heard around the traps that Karma Jungle has been sort of coming back. There is some possibilities for
and
that
this
to be
is
a thing, but
Loveland,
it's not happening now.
but this is Loveland we're talking about, who he loves those off-lane picks. When he was in support, loved that LeBlanc support. He loves mixing it up. Yorick Jungle, of course, was one of his big
That's
stables.
a personal favorite of yours
of
at the
that
moment,
season
isn't it?
3, absolutely one of the ones I do enjoy. But no Karma this time.
Not going to be coming through. Rek'Sai going to be banned out, as well as that Janna, along with that Karma for Energy Pacemaker, and it's going to be Lysandra Thresh and that Azir being taken off the board. But that's going to mean that Na's available, and of course, insta-locking that one, always going to be a good idea. And I cannot believe that this little guy's got through yet again.
Whenever Na comes through, you're surprised, right? You know there's a lot of other very strong champions available, because Jarvan 4 is available here.
Yep.
Other very strong picks come available. But Na wins games, especially that ultimate. The same name Na is just so strong. And look at this lock-in here. It's been hovered over here, but Graves, actually a pocket pick of San and of OMG in their history. It'd be interesting to see it locked in, especially early.
Also seeing a lot more play just recently as well, but with two of these really high-class junglers open as well in Lee Sin and Jarvan 4, locking away that Na was so easy for Energy Pacemaker, and we'll see whether Amazing J can put that to work there in the top lane. As Siva and Annie going to be locked in, possibly the bottom lane straight out of the gate here for OMG, but that Annie could be a flex pick going anywhere, as we did see that Annie going into the top lane in the hands of Lupo just yesterday. Not quite working out in the way that he'd like to, but LeBlanc has got through, and Captain 57 looking at this Jarvan, he's got his pick of those second out of the trinity of top junglers at the moment.
And the Annie priority across the LPL has been really intriguing to me. You know, you sit there before the match, sit there before the season, you're thinking of those big names, the Assassins, the Sivers of the world, Na, of course.
Yeah.
It's very interesting to see an EP lineup with Na, Jarvan 4, and LeBlanc, all champions that have been consistently banned or first picked so far, available to EP.
Yeah, and Energy Pacemaker going to lock in another two really strong picks, and their lineup is looking fantastic heading into what is going to be one of the most difficult matches of their entire LPL careers throughout this whole season. And they're looking good so far as these picks are concerned.
On paper, right? The
Yeah.
picks are nice, but
Yeah, it's good to have a good draft phase.
OMG love throwing a curveball, whether that's the jungle Yorick, whether that's just some lane swap action, and we'll have to see what they go for.
Going already locking in that Maokai for himself. Cool picking that one up for him. And Uzi going to take away that Lee Sin for Loveling. So not surprised about that pickup, but we'll see what Energy Pacemaker do to round out their lineup. Of course, having to pick that bottom lane, hovering this Corki Nami lane. And how do you feel about this one if this one was to get through?
There's a lot of poke obviously available from the Corki there. You're going to want to take as much advanced vision as possible so that LeBlanc can get that assassination up. A lot of LeBlanc bans, more LeBlanc bans than I was expecting in the LPL here. And we'll wait and see what the final pick is. I feel like the last pick from OMG here will really round out their comp, but I don't know which way we're going to go. It might be an old favorite.
Oh, cool. Looking to get on another one of these massive caster assassins. He is going to lock in the Syndra here as well. So much lockdown potential. And with the follow-up of that Twisted Advance coming through from this Maokai as well, and that Tibbers to be available, this is just going to be so frightening for Energy Pacemaker to come up against, because the pick potential from this team is just looking scary.
And it's from a very long range there. We're talking about the Syndra stuns.
Yeah.
The Flash Anti-Tibbers is going to come in there. So much engage and so much speed. This Maokai is going to be running at 1,000,000 miles an hour with the On the Hunt from Siva.
Yeah.
So you can see what they're trying to do. They want to get those priority picks and pick up the objectives. And objective focus, that's OMG's bread and butter.
That's exactly OMG's bread and butter, of course. When I was watching you and Pastry Time casting...
Once upon a time.
Yeah, once upon a time back when OMG was still playing, of course, been around for a very long time. They prioritized that mid lane turret like no team that I had ever seen in my entire life. They would sacrifice everything just to take that one, just so that they could gain that map pressure, gain that vision advantage that they really loved having. And we'll see whether that's what one of their priorities is going to be going into this game. But I could imagine that vision control is going to be huge for OMG this match.
And that's kind of OMG's playstyle. They like to advance their vision control wherever possible. You take out those outer rings of turrets, move your vision up. And they can get as far as denying any minions, any jungle minions to the enemy. If you have complete control over their buffs, you have 4 buffs on your team at all times, it's very hard to lose from there. And then, of course, the Barons and Dragons start falling. Yeah,
that's exactly right. And you are going to have so much extra control over those neutral objectives, considering the fact that they are in the middle of the map. And if you own the enemy jungle, you own that river at the same time. So we'll see whether OMG can capitalize on that. But Energy Pacemaker's lineup looking so scary.
Champion picks there very, very strong. The LeBlanc especially is the big unknown. A very big skill matchup in the mid, but we're going to start things up right here.
Yeah, and of course, onto the Rift, ladies and gentlemen, with Energy Pacemaker picking up the blue side and OMG on our red side. Energy Pacemaker, you'd think, coming into this one, the underdogs, but with a very, very impressive champion select. See whether they can capitalize on that one. And having Amazing J on this playmaking Gnar, who can be so impactful in these fights, is really, really important, as we do have a little bit of a scuffle in the mid lane.
Some love taps coming out there, of course, before minions spawn.
Yep, Luo wanting to answer back here. There's another Dark Sphere is going to take him down, and Luo definitely getting the bad part of that trade. And ooh. This is actually going to be very confusing, ladies and gentlemen, because there's multiple Luos in this game.
We might have to deal with the champion names rather than the player names in this one, but we'll do our best, of course.
Yeah, of course. OMG with Luo. Support.
So, I mean, coming back to your mentioning of Amazing J here, of course, we've got the Gnar here, and it was Amazing J during the LSPL that really was the barometer for EP, as we see.
Actually landed Captain 57. Just to go back to Luo in that support role, sorry to cut you off, Papa Smithy, is the fact that he is a substitution for Cloud on the OMG roster, so Luo are going to be coming in instead of him this game.
Okay, a bit of extra unknowns added to the equation here, but that Annie support, it worked so well for Mouse earlier in the LPL here. He coming into a new team, pulled out that Annie twice and got 2 victories with it. So Annie support's a real favorite.
Yeah, and it was paired up with that Rek'Sai in the jungle as well, so being able to stun someone up and then get that knock up very easily with the Unburrow is very scary. But we do have a lane swap coming through here for OMG. Uzi trying to get this freeze happening very early on. A little bit interesting for a Sivir to do that one just because that Ricochet is so good for pushing the wave, but wanting to keep this one in the position that he wants to.
Absolutely, and we see a similar sort of thing coming in the bot lane here. Annie later into the lane, she's actually Sivir's going to get extra solo experience here. Get that level 2 first, and Annie, she's on the roam.
Certainly is, and of course, and Annie does love to do that. That stun that you can have level 1 with whichever ability you pick up is going to be so impactful if you do manage to get to these lanes very early on. You can get summoner spells super early, and when you have such a volatile mid lane matchup like this LeBlanc Syndra matchup, getting anyone ahead is a very good idea.
Yeah, and we focused on Captain 57. Snowballing lanes is kind of the victory point for EP here. Yeah. I mean, you've got such a volatile mid lane matchup like you mentioned. It'll be interesting to see who pokes their head first into the mid lane.
Not to mention keeping cooldown as well, who has been such a massive player for OMG over the years. Of course, having this huge champion pool, never really know what this guy is going to do because he's just capable of so much.
So the roam continues here. Not much to report on so far, no CS advantages or anything, but Captain 57 and Amazing J, they're having a look down bottom.
Yes, they are 4 men strong, potentially to collapse on Going, but he is very close to his turret, and being a Maokai, you're going to naturally be a bit tanky here.
Of course, blue buff is available here.
So they might actually catch Luo coming into this bottom lane as a couple of wards going to be chucked over at the same time, but they are going to be spotted by that cheeky little ward that was thrown over from that Tri-Brush there in the bottom lane of OMG.
So Loveling hasn't actually claimed his blue buff yet, so that is still something that can be contested here. The 2 of them still are in the area. Syndra's kind of coming over for support. That might be the first objective we see fought over. Nope. No, looks like it's in the back.
Yeah, the first objective was indeed picked up, ladies and gentlemen. That Scuttle Crab going down in favor of Energy Pacemaker as Kane and Shu just clearing out this bottom lane. And a bit of an unorthodox duo pairing of Annie and Maokai.
I guess Maokai does have the advantage of a bit of ranged clear, you know, for a melee champion.
Saplings.
The sapling, you know, the Q obviously not that much range, but enough to get the minions. And Annie, she has the longest.
57's actually coming in. No, decides he's going to head back.
I mean, Annie has, I believe, up there with the longest or tied for the longest auto attack range. So
actually
trying to give
have that nerf
and have a little bit of pressure to allow Maokai to get a bit of farm in.
Yeah, so even after the slight nerf to Annie's auto attack range, still having it be very, very long. Which has helped her out as far as auto attack harass is concerned in lane. Distortion going to be used to clear out that cannon creep, always important. And cool, not going to be able to find that Dark Sphere. So this mid lane, sort of not too much happening, but you know that it can all just explode in a moment.
And that's kind of the OMG trademark. When the teleports start raining in, when the people start flanking, anything can happen. But for now, safe farming.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Going and Kane now facing off here in these solo lanes. And we do have a bit of a gathering from the support and jungle of OMG. He's heading in to get some deep wards. The Raptor's going to be attacked here as well. So with that stun ready, let's have level 2 so can use that Q just to try and get something happening.
Loveland's doing his best to assert dominance here and really get into Captain 57's jungle.
Yeah, you can see that they're lighting up this bottom side jungle of Energy Pacemaker on the side of OMG, really wanting to know where Captain 57 is as this bottom lane does unfold. Dark Sphere not going to find its mark on Luo yet again. Cool, running a little bit low on the old mana, as Luo's keeping himself relatively topped up.
And that roam from the jungle and the support there, what it does afford is it affords free farm for Going. They have almost perfect vision of the red side jungle here. They know exactly if Captain 57 has any movement in the bottom lane here. So helping Going to get to that late game tanky Maokai point, a strong thing to do.
It certainly is. As we saw in that top lane, Uzi, known to pressure anyone off CS at all times, and having Amazing J on this Gnar is no exception. So the boomerang battle up here as the ward is spotted out by OMG.
See, Amazing J doesn't have that advanced vision, right? You compare the OMG red side jungle here is a complete mystery to him, so he has to play safer. So theoretically, at least, Maokai should pick up more farm than you would have expected for a champion who's melee range most of the time.
Well, OMG actually back here in this top lane. Amazing J is playing back intelligently, knowing that he doesn't have the vision available, but you can see OMG know exactly where Captain 57 is at all times because they have such aggressive warding already in this match.
I mean, it's not just the warding that's aggressive. Look at this.
Well, yeah,
they're posturing for a turret dive.
Oh my goodness, Loveling actually going to be tanking up these minions as well just to make sure that push is going to be as easy as possible. There's the Pyro coming in, and that's such an easy first blood coming through for Loveling. Just drives by with that resonating strike and safeguard. I
mean, you say it's easy, but they make it look easy with their excellent wall control movement here. This is the OMG we know and love.
Yeah, that was beautifully executed as well. Just getting the Annie stun through. Luo easily manages to lock down the target. Easy Sonic Wave, resonating strike for the kill, and that's how it's done, ladies and gentlemen. This is the OMG way.
It's what separates the good teams from the great teams. I think there is that vision control, is that advanced vision that Going's being afforded here. He's a fantastic top laner mechanically and in team fights on his own right, but when your team's helping you there, allowing you to farm safely, it just sets you up. And now Gnar is always going to be that hair behind.
That's exactly right. Going known for being this fantastic teleport user as well, and the tankier that they can get this Maokai, the more he can be making plays around this map.
I mean, we've seen a few Maokais actually really struggle in the LPL this season. Maokai kind of needs that time to ramp up.
Yep.
And if you force him to get like a second Dawn ring,
we can see him Maokai, Kane's being aggressive on the Twisted Advance to come in. The Flash and Valkyrie have to be used as Going runs out of mana entirely, unable to keep up that chase, but that is a huge cooldown and a massive summoner spell to be used already by Kane.
Yeah, Luo's just creating so much pressure. He doesn't need levels on that Annie to really be in there and get those stuns in. Obviously, it'd be nice to get to level 6 for the Tibbers, but doing fine on his own.
Ward's going to be swept out here in the mid lane. OMG looking to get that dragon pressure happening. To Energy Pacemaker's credit, they do have a lot of wards around this dragon, so they know what's going on. And sure, just going to be here just to clear out the wards at the red buff. It's just going to be Sonic waved. Loveling giving Captain 57 a bit of a leash.
He's sniffing.
He certainly is. Oh, a lot of burst damage from Luo here onto Loveling. Half of his health already gone, but it's a nice scout of the week to catch up Captain 57. Oh, they're actually going in. The Unleashed power for the kill immediately onto Captain 57. Luo is going to get flashed out of the way of here as well, and cool, running out of mana. There's the wallop. Amazing J. The Gnar here as well on 2 members. This is why you don't leave this character open, and Uzi is being caught up by 2 people, 3 people. OMG now. Cool. No mana. There's the boomerang, not going to find its mark, but the hyper for the chase. And Amazing J, what an incredible teleport.
And it was so fortuitous that he picked up the red buff there because the perma slow on the no mana Syndrome meant the kill will be picked up there. 3 for 2. It's going to be a dragon. And EP actually sneaking out to an early advantage.
Yeah, and that was OMG just being a little bit overly aggressive, maybe underestimating Energy Pacemaker just a little bit coming into that engagement. They did manage to destroy Captain 57, but they just overextended, and Uzi's now getting caught out, and you're not going anywhere, buddy. Kane still has auto attacks.
And that was hero mode play from Uzi. He thought, I can do this. I can stop the dragon.
Luo's now around here as well. Full health. Actually, the other Luo's going to cop it. The dragon's going to go down. Kane's going to pick that one up, but they're going to sacrifice their mid laner for it.
And the amusing thing is that I believe Luo got a full level up there from the kill.
Oh my goodness.
The Annie there got a full level. Oh, we're fighting in the top.
Yeah, Amazing Jay actually getting aggressed on by Going. He does have a bit of an advanced lead here. Is Loveling going to be getting out of this one as best he can? Captain 57 is going to be okay as well.
That was some
this
interesting,
going to go over.
interesting movement right there.
It was. I was very confused.
League of Legends displacement doesn't actually follow physics properties all the time.
This is a video game. We're not doing physics. I didn't do very well in that class.
No? Not your favorite?
Actually, no, it was one of my favorites. But the joke didn't work without not being.
That's okay. That's okay. It's nice to see. I mean, the thing about OMG is, look, they tried something overly aggressive. They paid for it. But that's not going to stop them. That's their identity. They're always going to get right back in your face. And that's the amusing thing. Annie went in there, level 3, to contest the dragon, 1v3.
No fear. Managed to get a kill.
Picked up the kill. And that kill would have given them about a level's experience, just because you get more experience if you kill someone over-leveled.
Oh, yeah.
I believe it was a level 3 kill on a level 6 or 7. So very nice little advantage there for the Annie.
Yeah, Luo's Annie was a little bit behind, of course, wanted to roam around a lot. It wasn't because he was pressured out of a lane or anything like that. Just wanted to put on as much pressure as he could. But first dragon going over to Energy Pacemaker, and they have a very even gold situation at the same time. This may not have necessarily been what we were expecting from these teams.
I mean, the even gold situation applies to most lanes, but not the middle lane here, Max. As we see, 30 CS is the advantage. You see Luo, he's trying to hold on to the minions right here, but it's been cool. He's been well ahead on this Syndra.
Certainly has. There are a few assists. Luo's back pocket on this Syndra. Oh, nice big one. Going to get a lot of damage onto Uzi and Annie. Kane playing forward. Loveling wants to try and do something here, but it is very hard to lock down the LeBlanc. Does have this ward, so he can safeguard over to that one to try and get this Sonic Wave in the place that he wants to, and they're setting up the trap. Captain 57's waiting for the counter gank. They know what's going on here, does Energy Pacemaker. Luo is cheating to exactly the side he wants to. We do have actually the Scatter the Weed coming through. That's actually going to signal Luo to go in aggressive on this one. Oh, the Chilling Smite going to come out. Nice dodge. The Tidal Wave. A little bit overly excited coming down from Xiu.
This amuses me that 2 people in Vision and a guaranteed 6-man engage was coming there, but no kills come out. It was a bit like a nature documentary. They were all waiting in the woods ready for some action to happen.
Yeah, I feel like David Attenborough should have stepped in for that one.
Oh. If only we were so lucky.
Oh, Loveling getting caught by the flag and drag there. The knock-up going to be available, but nice safeguard is going to get him out of any trouble. And a lot of damage coming through from Captain 57, actually.
So I kind of want to unpack this big advantage in the mid lane. And you might be really quick to say, look, Cool, he's probably the MVP laner from OMG. He's a fantastic mid laner in his own right. Luo, we don't know as much about. It might be easy to say, yep, that's because Cool's a better mid laner than Luo. But I think a lot of this is the pressure that OMG's put down with those visions, with Loveling's movement. Got to be careful here, Kane.
Kane's got to be careful. He does get stunned up, but she is here in order to give him some ebbs and flows and some Tidecaller's blessings.
If you're consistently getting in there, putting that advanced vision down, harassing around the enemy Wraith camp, or Raptor camp, I believe it is now, that's what you're going to afford. You're going to afford free farm.
Maelstrom actually here in the top lane going aggressive onto Amazing J, who has that Hex Drinker in order to stop a bit of that damage. Hyper's going to proc here. There's the Nah as he gets into Mega Form. The rocks are going to come out. Wallop to death. And that is going to be Amazing Jay with the 1v1 kill on Going.
Never underestimate that Nah rage bar. When it comes through, scary things can happen.
Certainly are. And Amazing Jay having a fantastic game so far. 3-1-1 on this Nah. Does have that Hex Drinker and Giant Spelled as well. So very tanky. Not going to be blown up by a Cool on this Syndra as well, which is going to be probably his main threat in this one, because Cool might have to be focusing out this Nah just to eliminate that gigantic CC threat.
And I'm hoping that Amazing J takes that little advantage of getting a solo kill on Going there. You know, very well regarded as a top solo laner in the world. That little solo kill, I hope they takes that into aggression in the team fights, really gets in there with the Nah, because that's a nice little solo thing for himself to hang his hat on.
Exactly, and you got a rage bar for a reason. You may as well use it. Cool, going to be clearing out this wave as well, and Cool's champing at the bit at the moment. He really wants to get in here and use the fact that he's so far ahead in CS, does have that Morellonomicon and the blasting one now as well. So just really wants to be blowing people up. Does have that potential here. We'll see what they are going to do. 1 minute 20 on this Dragon, as this mid lane is getting pressured. No surprises there coming through from OMG.
And worth noting that Cool's actually translated that CS advantage into a more aggressive item build here. Of course, the Athene's route coming out from LeBlanc here, she's scared. She's actually buying that
really
earlier
scared.
magic resist, whereas just stacking the damage is cool.
Yep. Cool, calm, and collected. Actually, here's going to be the Tibbers engage. Captain 57 was there for a second, and now he's gone. Beautifully well executed, and that's the jungler down with 50 seconds on Dragon.
And it's funny that even the support here adds the deletion damage coming out from OMG.
Oh, yeah.
Syndra.
That is a beautiful term, by the way, deletion,
Deletion damage.
Fantastic.
I'll coin that one.
Yeah, do that.
But, you know, between the execute damage coming from Loveland, the Tibbers coming from Annie, and of course...
Stun actually not going to land here. Cool going down to half health. Luo, even though he's a bit defensive in
that
his build,
mid-turret
still
though,
aggressive.
Max, look at that.
Oh, yeah. That's what OMG wants. They want to be able to get this one down. It's Amazing J throwing out these boomerangs in the top lane, and now that he's up here, he can't really affect that lead that he has around this map. Does have teleport available. And we'll see what OMG do when he does utilize that summoner spell in order to get his way into these fights, because this Dragon is going to be up, and Amazing J is going to be so necessary for Energy Pacemaker.
Interesting to see what his big buy is. It's actually going to be the Sunfire Cape. So actually going for the damage rather than perhaps the extra tankiness.
I quite like the Sunfire Cape here. Really wanted to capitalize on this early advantage that he has.
All right, so the Dragon's been started here, but EP are in position.
Yeah, they've got some wards around here as well. Scuttle Crab Vision and Speed Shrine availability is here for OMG, and Energy Pacemaker going to be rotating around to this mid lane, going to be able to pick this one up. Most likely they have 5 members strong and a fair bit of damage. As OMG have finally found their way around. This turret is very, very low, ebbing and flowing through here as Amazing J does get his rage bar filled up. He might choose to dive as a rock does come just under that turret. I think he just wanted to throw that rock just for funsies.
Worth noting that Kayn is the first AD carry to reach a power spike here with that straight trendy force pickup here. Uzi, he's gone for a bit of everything. He's got the boots too, he's got the Avarice Blade for a bit of income, but no completed Infinity Edge means you'd have to expect Kayn with a bit more force here, but that was a lot of damage, absolutely.
Yeah, it wasn't chunking out the jungler as that Dragon is available as well is a very good idea coming through from Energy Pacemaker. They've made intelligent decisions this game, in a game that we were expecting them to feel pressured out. Uzi gets caught by an Acro Prison, but a little bit too far away to engage on, as this tower is going to go down. OMG will be feeling happy about that, as the wards again going to be cleared out on both sides.
It's whether they want to bite off that Dragon and really try and force that objective that's the interesting question here. I think they want to pick before they even try that.
Yeah, and I think OMG just really want to time this one with that gigantic wave of minions that they have in the top lane. They know that they have the advantage there. Bottom lane, there's a big creep wave coming through for Energy Pacemaker though. So both of these teams on a bit of a clock if they want to capitalize on that money and experience that is available over there. But another opportunity for the Mega Gnar to come in. And another boulder going to be thrown into the bushes.
And I have to think that it's OMG waiting out and actually paying respect to that Gnar rage bar. I mean, there's a lot of teams have been caught out and led to a massive Gnar, but OMG, they're not buying it.
They certainly aren't, and it's a little bit easier for Uzi to go down to this bottom lane and clear out this farm, as that Dragon is going to be down there, and you can see such forward vision available from OMG, and this turret is going to go low as well. Oh, Amazing J actually coming through here. Has to bounce his way out, but it's going to be Luo dying. First up, the flash out of the Cataclysm. Nice little play here from Captain 57, but Kayn now getting hurt on. Uzi's at full health, and he is aggressive. Does get exhausted here. There's the flash into the Scat of the Week, but it's not going to find its mark, because Kayn's going to flash in response, and only one dead. Amazing J off the board actually for both sides. Luo falling down as well. But this is going to mean that OMG feel like they have the ability to do this Dragon.
And they have a timer here. Teleport is down for Gnar, so he will not be able to group here. They feel confident having only their support down here.
The flash actually coming through here. Going wants to get amongst this one. LeBlanc just dead straight out of the gate. Cool has so much damage. We were talking about the fact that he was very excited to get this Syndra going, and he's doing it now. 2-1 and 2. He's going to be able to head back and pick up a lot of items. Actually picked up Smite as well by the looks of things, because he's going to finish off that Dragon as well. Loveling had that one down because he did use that Chilling Smite on an opponent.
And they intelligently just waited it out there, ensured that the Resonating Strike was going to get that last tick of damage, and the Dragon goes to OMG.
Yeah, fantastically played by OMG, and getting Amazing J out of that one immediately was definitely what gave them the confidence to pick up that first neutral objective, as GoGoing's going to use that teleport to head back to this top wave and clear out these minions before they do too much damage to that turret.
I guess my only issue with that Sunfire pickup, if we come back to that from Gnar, is that Maokai, of course, has that ultimate to help with his tankiness. Obviously, he gets more tankiness from any items he picks up, the health he picks up, etc. Gnar really needs to be in the front and dealing with Uzi and ensuring that he's not going to die to that champion. And having a Randuin's there to stop the auto attacks, Sivir finds it really hard to break it through those big tanks up the front if they get really tanky, and the Randuin's just so much innate tankiness coming out from that item.
Yeah, and it feels unfortunate because I think that he probably picked up that Sunfire Cape because he had the money for it, wanted that power spike.
Felt like a
for
good
that
buy,
dragon.
right?
Yeah, but was just eliminated from that fight and really couldn't capitalize on that item buy. So now feeling a little bit silly for it, you could imagine.
We live and learn.
We certainly do. And Amazing J still definitely in a good place on this Gnar and still going to be as impactful.
The difference in the vision here, you look at very little advanced
Lovely
wards
might
for
actually
EP.
find Luo on this LeBlanc here. He's going to head back to his distortion. That was a bit cute.
Exercising frustration of those Qs onto LeBlanc.
Yeah, a bit of a hop, skip, and a jump, and Amazing J is definitely out to safety as a couple of members of OMG are coming through. Actually, 5 members strong here in the top lane, looking for a potential dive. There is a ward, so here's his Boomerang, not going to find too much.
And there is a third outer turret, and this, of course, OMG's bread and butter. The outer turrets are down.
Oh, yeah. The whole ring has now been taken off the board. Energy Pacemaker unable to make any ground in those objectives, although that mid lane turret is very, very low on their side. Zuzi just clearing out these waves. Distortion going to be used by Luo yet again. And here's the fight of the big tanks here in the top lane as Mega Gnar is going to come through from Amazing J. He's just going to waddle his way out of this one because he knows he's not going to get through that huge wall that is GoGoing.
And obviously there's no objective up there now for OMG, so he's not going to see any reinforcements for that fight. Just, you know, some love taps from the tanks there.
Yeah, just smacking each other around a little bit just because they can.
Nice rotation coming out here, stealing away the outer mid turret for OMG, our EP, and it's good to get on the board.
Lovely, actually, with a little bit of fancy footwork there. Really didn't want to start that engage too much. Going to safeguard himself out of harm's way.
So we're starting to see the AD carries equalize a bit here. Although we see the traditional Corki power spike, the Trinity Force Sorcerer Shoes coming through. The Infinity Edge, the Zeal, very close to Static Shiv is Uzi here. Creep score, he's about 25 ahead, but of course he's had that Avarice Blade for a bit more income. Very close, but you have to think Civ is feeling good going into the next team fight.
Certainly, especially if you manage to pick up another 600 gold. That Static Shiv and Infinity Edge is just so fantastic, especially for that upfront burst, as you do have that Static Shiv proc to guarantee your first crit. It's very scary. Walloped these creeps as Amazing J probably going to head back to base here as he's overextended just a little bit due to the fact that that turret is now gone. See whether he can be a little bit more of an impact in the next team fight.
You kind of can see the flavor in the game if you look at the mini-map here in terms of the ward coverage. Very defensive ward setup coming out from EP. Yeah. The offensive wards, they're going to start pushing further and further, creeping further and further towards the red and blue buffs of EP as OMG start to exert their dominance.
Yeah, OMG actually deciding to ward a little bit more defensively as this game goes on. Of course, early on in this one, they did have very forward warding, but now
laning's over.
Energy Pacemaker just a little bit more.
We're still waiting for the next dragon to perhaps be the next flashpoint of the game. No massive buys, although interesting second buy coming out from Cool here. Has already finished that Void stuff.
Yeah, wants to make sure that he can get through as much of this Hex Drinker and the Mercury's Treads that are coming through. Of course, Athene's and Mercury's Treads being picked up here by Luo as we do have a slight engagement. There's the Tibbers onto 2 members. Kane gets immediately chunked to half health, and that's going to be Captain 57 going down solo. Does get the Cataclysm off, but look at the bomb damage coming through from Kane. He's smashing from the backside, but he's dead now. GoGoing's going to pick up that kill, and Luo and Shu just going to have to get the heck out of here. The Fish going to sacrifice herself, and that is a 4-for-1 exchange. OMG with such teamfight prowess.
Absolutely. It was the target selection coming out from OMG there that really won them out, that they always focus down the same member. They got them down. That's why they have 4 kills. It could have been a split fight right there, but excellent target selection. A big win for OMG, and now the inner turret's going down as well.
Yeah, and wonderful timing as well to make sure that Amazing J couldn't smack them with that big Gnar ultimate as well, so knowing that they had to go in at exactly the right moment.
It's a scary thing when Gnar gets a multi-person stun and ultimate
actually
down.
He's found Uzi here just a little bit, and he's just going to die.
Just going for a waddle in the lane, just dying.
Yeah, it's not a fun thing to do. Of course, you don't want to transition up through there. Didn't have quite the vision that he maybe expected from his team, and Luo's just going to head back and be like, yeah, that's it.
And look, we know Uzi is a player. He saw that big wave up top, and he was like, I'm going to have this.
Yeah, it's my money.
And
No, it's
LeBlanc,
not. That's a death
she had other
trooper.
thoughts.
Yeah, she certainly did. Zony's Hourglass almost finished up here by Cool, so he's going to have his third big item as that one does come through. Afford himself a little bit more defensiveness, you could say.
And I like that adaptation, coming back to that Void Staff. I think you're correct. I think he recognized, look, that's a lot more magic resistant on LeBlanc than you'd expect. I'm not sure if I can one-shot her. Let's get the Void Staff in right now.
Yeah, that's right. And you've got to make sure that you do build correctly, especially when you know that that Void Staff is going to be a little bit more damage that you get if you were to build up that Rabbidan's Death Cap, which is, of course, going to take a little bit longer as well due to the fact that the price tag's a little bit larger.
So the global gold signs come down here. It's 5,000, which on this patch is a considerable lead, but definitely not unassailable for EP.
It certainly isn't, and they are going to continue pushing up here into this inner
OMG
turret.
have been pretty slow to react here.
Nice rotational play by EP, but a little bit sloppy movement coming through from OMG. Loveling really wants to try and get something going. Let's go going, actually getting down a little far. Amazing J going to get smited here a bit as well as he's trying to get that rage bar happening, but it's too low. The Tibbers to come in.
And everybody
Cool
else's
picks up the
ultimates
kill.
to keep it going.
Yep. Make sure you just throw all of your buttons at the Gnar, because that guy is pretty scary when he gets going. And going from this 3-1-1 on Gnar, now 3-4-3, and Amazing J transitioning into this late game, not going quite as well as you would have otherwise expected.
I think he'll look back and regret that Sunfire purchase, regret having that perfect amount of gold. It's tantalizing sometimes.
It certainly is. It is, and if they had have managed to get the teamfight that they wanted when they wanted it, it would have been a good buy, but alas, will be happening this time as Scuttlecrab going to wander around as this dragon goes down for the second time from OMG.
That objective snowball, it's beginning. You look at these wards here, now we're starting to get aggressive wards down into EP's side. The choke, the choke out of all the resources available to them is starting.
So many pink wards as well out for both of these sides. You can see 4 on the map for Energy Pacemaker, but scattered a little bit, not necessarily in a zone that they want to control, more just so that they can see the movements of OMG heading around this map.
You have to feel those two next to Baron will be cleared out when the Baron vision choke starts to begin.
Oh, yeah. Lure on this LeBlanc. Sort of building up a little bit of a mismatch of items as that blasting one's been sitting there for a while, and now the arm guard has been finished up. So incredibly defensive decisions coming through on this LeBlanc, which I'm not entirely sure is ever a good idea.
It's one of those interesting things where it's going to be a tanky Gnar, of course, that's the standard build. It's going to be a tanky Jarvan. They're relying a lot on the Corki damage coming out here, and we look over at Loveling. He's already picked up a very early Aegis. It's very interesting. Usually Aegis is the counter to lots of AoE magic damage. But in this case, there's a lot of latent magic damage, the Corki missiles. So not so much magic penetration, but just a lot of consistent magic damage coming out. Aegis will counter a lot of it.
The top lane, the Distort is going to come through here. Going using that Twisted Advance to get very aggressive. And look at how tanky this guy is. The ultimate's on. Another Twisted Advance. The Tidal Wave to come through to hit 3 members. It's a nice disengage attempt here by Shu, but I think that the hunt is still on here from OMG. There's the Flash Tippers onto Amazing J. They want to get this Gnar out of this one, but he's about to transform. The Gnar is going to be available. He's smashing people into the wall, and here's the turnaround. Kane managing to pick up a kill, but Uzi's taken down the Gnar now. Captain 57's going to fall. Cool takes a massive amount of burst, but Luo probably wanted a few more damage items because he can't finish off any members, and Uzi picking up yet another one. And this is a 1-for-4, and I'm getting a little bit of deja vu.
Atlas, this is not the Maokai we've seen in other games here. The Rod of Ages completed, the Frozen Heart completed. He could buy so much time for the cavalry to run in, and OMG clean it up.
And with all that cooldown reduction as well, you saw him just twisting and advancing on this team to no end, as they are going to take down the first inhibitor turret of this game. OMG not turning around the pressure. They are going to turn around. They're not going to turn around the pressure that they're putting on Energy Pacemaker at the moment.
It's not a true retreat, it's a tactical retreat right here.
And they may be getting towards this Baron, as we do have a teleport coming through into the top lane. Amazing J wants to get something going, but doesn't quite have that rage bar happening, and they're not as low as he would have otherwise expected.
I see LeBlanc's also sniffing around on the bottom side here. Maybe they're looking for a counter Baron. I think that would be a very, very aggressive move. I'm not sure they have the damage to burst it down right here, especially with a full health Lee Sin.
Yeah, it's a bit frightening here, as Luo's actually going to find Loveling here. Going to miss the chain, though. And Energy Pacemaker just trying to get that vision around that Baron pit, of course. They still do have that top inhibitor, so those creeps aren't going to be too much of a problem heading into that base.
They have staggered the back timers from OMG here. Of course, people had to stick around Baron just to ensure no quick Baron came out from EP. So they bought themselves time. They're able to go and clear the big waves coming down at bottom top. Between Nami having a little sing.
Yeah, that was a bit cute.
Flashes of OGN right there. But, it's looking difficult for EP. I mean, we knew it was an uphill battle to begin with, but I think a Baron will be the death knell for this EP team.
And you have to admit, EP have put on a much better show than I was personally expecting from these guys, because OMG just such a force to deal with. These pinks are going to be cleared out across the board. Couple of pink wards coming in here for OMG, wanting to make sure that they can strangle out the vision of Energy Pacemaker. They can actually start off this Baron, and look how tanky going is. I think he's tanking the Baron, but I'm not entirely sure because he's not taking damage.
Which one's the raid boss? Is it the Baron or is it Going?
Is it the tree or is it the Baron?
Now they've taken a lot of magic with this shred from the Baron here, so a fight could be risky.
Yeah, the boulders to come in here as well. The Nar's going to be available. This is where he wants to do it. The knock-up to come in. There's the wallop as well. Amazing J flashes for the triple stun, but Uzi's going to be able to take out Captain 57. Kane's going to fall down. This is a triple kill for Uzi, and in the meantime, that Nar's going to be dealt with. The flash twisted advance. Could it be the Quadra? And it is for Uzi, and the star player definitely showing us exactly why he's given that name.
Amazing J was licking his lips there. Beautiful three-man Nah, but it didn't matter. The rest of his team can't capitalize on his excellent work. OMG come through. We've got really high health bars here. This could be the game.
Yeah, it's the clean ace coming through here for OMG, and the Nexus turret's falling down. Energy Pacemaker putting up a valiant effort in that early game, but OMG just running away with this game towards the end.
A credit to EP. We did not see the EP yesterday that kind of wilted under the pressure that LGD put down. Yeah. They tried their best.